So, welcome everyone. If you're joining in on this call, it is the 20th call for UX research call in the Bitcoin design community. 20, a round number. It's
Mm.
the 18th of May 2023. It's been a busy, buzzing day in the community. We've just had lots of accessibility stuff going on, and now we have the UX research call. So, I'm Mo here. We've been working in public and building this in public. We have Art, who I'll allow him to introduce himself. He's our project manager, and then we have Seth as well. Feel free to introduce yourselves and let's get this going.
Hello to the three of us here, maybe the people watching the recording. Good to be here. Seth, first time meeting you. Love to, if you're comfortable, get to know you. Feel free to write in the chat instead if you'd like to do that instead.
Yeah, do you want to say
And
hi, Seth, or you? Yeah, welcome.
sometimes folks have technical difficulties or they're just not wanting to participate. All of that's fine too. So today, really, we're pretty much at the end of what has been an incredible journey with good friends and allies.
We hear Seth now. Do you want to say hi, Seth?
Nice.
Oh, sure, sure. Hi. I think I had to turn my microphone up. Nice to meet you, Mo and Art, and appreciate all the things that you do here. Yeah, I've been a designer here for quite a while, and a Bitcoiner for quite a while, and been lurking in the background for quite a while, and slowly kind of coming out of my shell. So yeah, just kind of bear with me.
There's no need to lurk here. Like, we're super friendly, welcome. Like, everyone's welcome here, and we're just trying to move things forward and to wrap this one up, as Art said. But Christoph's jumped on as well. We've been like two busy bees in the community today with the accessibility stuff. So nice of Christoph to jump on as well, because it's been a pretty busy day.
Yeah, I was actually just going to listen in and at the same time do a quick accessibility test for Damus, because someone from Damus posted something in their repo about accessibility stuff. So I was just going to get in there, do some quick tests, document things, and share it with them while listening to you.
Go for it, and feel free to listen and chime in when you want, when you like.
Okay, cool.
And there's multitasking, and then there's like Christoph level multitasking.
He's got
47th.
he has films running all over the place. It's
Jeez.
just it's some Secret Service stuff going on there, but it's
He's
all under the hood.
he's
So
my hero.
all right,
Seth,
cool.
welcome. Feel free to reach out to people, like DM folks. People are very friendly, happy to chat. In terms of the project itself, Mo, want to hop in?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to give Seth, do you know like a little bit about the project? I mean, Art is really good at giving a very high level kind of overview of what's been going on and what the goal of the project is.
Yeah, I'd say I'm like 60% familiar. I've been going over the website quite a bit, and yeah, I think that I don't want to spend anyone's cycles on answering questions, as I can just keep sort of like reading and researching more and more. So yeah, take that approach.
Cool. Sounds good. Feel free to chime in at any point. We're always welcome to hearing advice and feedback. So yeah. Hey, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Welcome, Jakob. The Albi team's in Miami, right?
I lost the card with Jitsi. I was looking for it. No, only Moritz.
Oh, all right. Okay, cool.
This is the FOMO team, the FOMO squad.
What's the FOMO squad?
Well, none of us are in Miami.
No, sorry, Miami. No, I'm going to Prague. I'm super happy. I'm super excited about Prague. So
Yeah, Prague is more high signal ratio, signal to noise ratio.
Okay, Europe, relax, calm down.
is going to Prague as well. Christoph's also going to Prague. You're the only one not going to Prague, Art. So you're going
Hey,
to
look, I'm double FOMO.
exactly. So
Oh,
here we go.
just my style.
All right, let's kick it off. Let's go.
Cool. Cool. So we're really at the tail end of this product. What we're building is a tool, an online tool to enable founders, builders, designers, researchers in the Bitcoin space, Bitcoin adjacent as well, because we have some Nostr folks probably coming to use this too. Create products that are usable, feasible, viable, and really just add value to the market, solve problems that the market needs. And we argue that UX research is a phenomenal tool to get there quicker. So we've been building this tool here to accelerate the building of feasible, viable, usable products. Where we're at present is we have, for the most part, I'm just going to share my screen. 1 second, folks. We have, for the most part, written out just about every section
Yeah.
that needs to be written. There's a little bit of semantic tweaks, maybe a few things to add here and there for each one of them. I think, honestly, Mo, you and I could like divide and conquer and just, I have capacity today that I could just go through and just do half of them or even all of them. I mean, it's the evening for you. I'll just do all of them. I'll go through them. I'll see if there's any last minute comments. And then it's really just a question of, on the one hand, for you, Mo, adding them to
No,
the relevant sections, right? Because these don't work right now, just as a heads up, right? Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Well, it's good you mentioned that. Okay, I didn't even know that. So I've not made the tool pages public. Okay,
Yeah. So that's definitely something that's important to do.
that's definitely something I need to fix. For sure. Right.
Right. So we'll do that. I will review the documents themselves. And then I think, like, my point of view is once you have my final sort of reviews, publishing drafts as we continue finishing them up in the back end, right?
Yeah,
So like having
yeah.
having a toolkit like basically be in beta, and then we'll finish it up on the back end, but so it's live. That's how I think we should go about this. But
Yeah, I
I'm
agree with
open
you.
to others' feedback too.
What do you think, Jakob?
No, I think it's a great idea.
I think I've been spending some time last week, tail end of last week, and a little bit of time beginning of this week going through comments. There's been so many comments. Jake from the community went through almost every single document.
He did, hey?
He
Where
had
is he? He should be here.
hundreds of comments. And I've just been working my way through those comments. He's been looking at missing links. He's been looking at the way things are explained. So we've now had on every single item, we've had like 4 sets of eyes on everything. So I feel like we can pretty much just say, okay, it's good, and move those into. There's still some floating comments in the Google documents, but I think, as you said, we can just wrap that up and just move the content over. That's my goal.
I just
Well-
added two in last 30 minutes, but a minor one.
It's hard to hear you, Jakob.
How about now?
Yeah.
Still?
It's better. Yeah.
I just said that I added like 1 hour ago a few comments, but a very minor one. I'll try to finish all the rest pages I haven't seen yet. So from my side, at least, the comments would be.
I'll just do a screen share for Seth as well, just for some context. We have this this folder which I shared in the research channel. And this is just for all of the content items. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And probably the additional one from Jakob becomes 12 because that's connected to the moderated usability testing. So all of them have been, people have kind of gone in here, gone into this. They've added in comments. See, Jakob has had in comments today as well. So it's pretty much just going through these comments, just wrapping them up. It's something that I haven't had time to do this week because I've been focusing on the conference and the accessibility stuff. But should have a lot more time next week to really focus on this, go through this. So I'm kind of I feel like next week, end of next week, I'll go through all of these additional comments, and then we pretty much say it's wrapped up in terms of comments, and then we just move the content into Notion. What do you guys think?
Is it fine if because you can comment or you can propose and it's fine to propose, right? And you just review it.
Yeah, go for it. I think proposing edits is easier. So if we kind of aim for end of next week, wrap up all of the content in terms of edits, and then just say, okay, that's it, and then pretty much move that into Notion. Art, you're looking very, very, very serious over there. Is everything okay? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just writing it down that this is our timeline for next week.
I think we do that as well. And then I think the next step, and I'd love some help on this one. As Art said, building it out into a live website. I spoke to Christoph about this as well. I think the final product will not exist on Framer because Framer doesn't actually allow for contributions. So like with the Bitcoin Design Guide, it exists in a traditional website format where people can go into GitHub, they can make suggestions and that kind of thing. And if we would like the UX Research Toolkit to have the same ability for people, researchers in the ecosystem to be able to comment, then living in Framer long term is not going to be very practical, because then if someone makes a suggestion to the kit, I'll have to jump into Framer, make the changes. Whereas if it works more like with the guide, it's a lot more fluid, a lot more easy. People can suggest other research methodologies, that kind of thing. So maybe building out just one tiny part of the research toolkit in Framer that we can test out on people. And then if people like the way it's built, then, that's not something we'll continue here, I'll figure that out on my own. But then figuring out how to build a live version of that website would be my end goal.
Can we export the code from Framer and then host it?
Can you do that?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Oh, that would be amazing. I don't know if Framer has that functionality. That would be amazing.
Basically, like open source Framer made websites. Can you do this?
That would be amazing.
So what are we looking to solve for? We're looking to build it in a way that others can participate with, right? Really, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And how did we come to decide that Framer is one of the choices that we're interested in, as opposed to any of the other ways we can do this?
Maybe Christoph can chime in on this one. So I started building in Framer just because it's easy for me to build, and I do not know how to develop to save my life. I do not write a single line of code. So I basically popped everything into Framer because I was like, oh, I want to see how this looks in a live website. But then chatted with Christoph, and he said, well, it would be good long-term to put it in something similar to the guide, which would allow people to really contribute, really make it open, just like the guide's open, and allow people to contribute. Just like how we've been going back and forth in the Google documents. It's kind of like the same thing, but then in a website version.
Well, the question then is, could we not find someone that's interested in building that out? Or what's the minimum viable approach for hosting it or having someone build it, right?
I can ask the community. I have no idea.
I mean, that's...
If I can chime in, that was basically, I was just telling Mo, And she already started with Framer. So I thought, if you can mold this and play with this and get a really good result with very little hassle, just kind of allows you to move forward, where you don't have to wait for a week and ask people 3 weeks, get a dev, then maybe just run with it and then just find someone later, where once it's like in a really good shape, and then the development work is easier because it's just like re-implementing the thing, and you don't even have to worry about design anymore because it's all figured out. That I think that was my recommendation. But if if you as a group want to find someone to develop it right away, and then totally cool too. Just how you want to go about it personally.
It's
I
also
understand.
From a development, go ahead. Sorry, Jakob, go ahead.
I just want to add that I think with Frame, like in terms of contributors, we still could use GitHub for like content contributors, right? So if someone wants to contribute content, they can just we could still use GitHub repo. It's just with the website itself, it's I guess more complicated.
I like the idea of building it out in Framer, and then, just the ease of doing it in Framer. It feels just so much more easier than having to look for a developer now. Um, it's pretty much copying and pasting, moving stuff into Framer. It's probably like a 48-hour process if you just really spend like 16 hours straight and just move everything over.
Just casually spend 16 hours straight. Just mow things.
you know and then, once that's live, then just, very very in a very relaxed way, share with the community and be like, hey guys, like, this is what we have that's live right now. Could anybody help us to build out a website version of this one, and just see if anyone volunteers. But the Framer option for now feels like the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest, quickest option. Just get it in there, get people testing it out, let them see, feel how it is. Um, I
So-
feel like I could move quite a bit of the content into Framer quite quickly.
But then there's a question. What is motivating us to move it away from Notion into Framer if we're still going to go from Framer into a different website? Help my smooth brain understand that.
You have very good. You are asking a very good question. You are asking a very good question.
I think the difference is that Framer gives you more design. Notion is just very
Yeah.
fixed. I understand there's not a massive, huge difference. It's similar in some ways, but I think that's how I would describe it.
It's also, research is kind of like this sticky topic. It's like this topic that it's still climbing up this hill of, how can you say, getting more and more adoption in the Bitcoin space. So I feel like if it's on a website that looks just nice, fresh, and friendly versus being on Notion, people are going to be more like, oh yeah, there it is. There's the UX research toolkit. I want to use it. I want to try that thing out.
Okay.
It's just this nuance. It's it's that usability. It's that feeling when they're using it.
Well, I mean, it's the problem with moving over to a website model is that it motivates me to continue to want to be involved because that's where product management really shines, right?
And Art, like, we're at the wrapping up stage of this, so we're not thinking about you being, I mean, as I said, end of next week, wrap up the content.
Yes.
Pretty much, I can literally just put my head down, be in a cave, and focus an entire week on moving the content into Framer. And if anyone wants to help, feel free, but no need. And yeah, it's live, it's done.
Okay, so let's look at timelines then. So you're thinking by end of next week that all content is written, and then a week after, all content has been ported over to the website. Is that how you're thinking about it?
That's my thoughts. Like, I'm just gonna put my head down and I'm gonna live in a cave, and I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm not gonna do anything else.
That sounds very healthy.
It sounds really healthy, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to go that way for it to just really just wrap it up in a neat little orange bow and give it that Bitcoin stamp.
Well, that makes good sense. Cool. So then by end of next week, all content is written, approved, finalized. If it's not, it gets to live in beta, but we're porting it over regardless.
100%. Yeah.
Then by the week after, you're porting out everything to the live sites. I don't think we need a meeting in 2 weeks
No.
because it's going to be grunt work, right? I think
Yeah.
maybe a meeting after to think about the strategy, or if anything, right?
Yeah.
If anything. Okay. Cool. There's a few
I've
things that
set some pretty mean timelines. I mean, we'll see. It's you know it's all good. I feel like I've been doing other stuff in the community which I've really been enjoying, but this is like my little baby which I just want to put my head down and I want to wrap it up. So I'm gonna
we'd
really
like to birth the baby.
what?
We'd like to birth the baby. Get it. Go. Induce.
Let's just let it fly.
Okay. Then one thing that we've discussed last time is this question about advertising. Like, how does the toolkit fit in with the broader ecosystem? Where are we sharing the toolkits? Like, I can do my part in terms of my own personal brand. Hey, we've built a toolkit, blah blah blah. Would love your feedback. With the Bitcoin product community, right? So
that would be amazing. That would
I'm
be
just gonna
amazing.
write each person sharing individually. Product community would be arts. And then just a question of like which other avenues, like for example, there's the Bitcoin design community newsletter, right? That's one that we could share with.
I think Bolt Fan would be probably a good place to.
What's that?
Bolt Fan will be probably a good place to advertise it.
Yeah.
I'm taking a huge stab at saying that I'm going to be successful building in Framer because I I did encounter some slight nuances as I was building, so it's gonna be a steep learning curve, but I think it's fairly.
I don't promise, but I try to jump in and check out Framer this weekend maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's a good tool to learn in general for non-techies.
So Mo, if you have some problems, can you list it down so maybe I can also take a look at them? Even though I haven't touched Framer, but at least I will have some goal. A problem to solve.
Seth, you're pretty quiet, feel free to jump in. This is a completely open floor. I mean,
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the reason I was joining was I've been thinking quite a bit about Fedimint and personas, and I found some great ones that I forget who had created them, but I was going to chime in at some point and ask if it would be, I guess, applicable to add a range of personas to the toolkit for a range of use cases for layer 1, layer 2 Fedimints and things of that sort. Not to provide that much, or not to ask for that much more work to be done for the toolkit, but yeah, curious of thoughts there.
I like that question, and we have, there's these crossovers now in the Bitcoin design guide as well, is that there's a whole section, the Bitcoin design guide, with a whole bunch of like research articles, these really long articles and research studies that have been done by various researchers in the community. And one of those research studies was done by Patricia, and she actually came up with these Bitcoin personas. So we have a page in the guide for this kind of novice Bitcoin user persona. But a lot of those other research articles, they live in these really long reports. And I think for builders, they're not going to really jump into a report and read an 80-page report about research. So eventually, I think if there's a need in the community, I'd love to of all of these projects, when Fediment builds their personas, when Bitcoin Core builds their personas, kind of put these personas together, on another page of the toolkit so that builders can access them. Because I think that builders really do want and need personas to build. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, totally agree. And I wonder if, just cross-referencing would be a good approach to start, just so that they are more discoverable, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in your work, do you see a need for personas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe not so much for myself, but to help validate with the team, right? So here's the people I'm thinking about. Here's the problem, and here's the users. And so it's more of a validation tool than anything else, really.
To validate that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the community as well, we have all these projects in the community. I think the Saving Satoshi team, they built their personas. I don't remember if we did it with Bitcoin Core. I don't think we did. The Fediment team is also building personas. So there's all these individual projects that have built personas that we could just pull into one place and make accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I always like the holistic approach. So for builders to not only consider their siloed project, but the whole ecosystem as a whole, I think is a great way to, for me personally as a designer, to see the big picture, right? And sort of drill into unique scenarios once you get that big picture.
Mm-hmm. And maybe when we include those, are you on Discord as well?
I am, yes.
Cool. Also Seth on Discord. Are you also known as Seth on Discord as well?
Yeah, I actually use my full name there, so I think I should be pretty easy to find.
All right. Cool. I'll look you up on Discord then.
Yeah. I'll send you a DM.
Sounds good. Seth full name.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I try to keep a low profile, but then I use my full name in other places, so it's a bit of a head scratcher.
You're half in, half out.
Totally.
For now.
Yeah.
This brings us to an interesting and important point of how to integrate the toolkit to the broader design guide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Christoph's offered a few ideas, but it's really that cross-pollination. Like, is it simply as simple as like cross-linking? Is it as simple as like, I mean, that might literally just be it. It's just cross-linking, right? For someone like Seth to be able to be like, oh, I need help with personas, and then the UX Research Toolkit has on the, let's say, main nav, right? A section for other resources, Bitcoin Design Guide or whatever, right? Like that's one model of how to solve that.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, Christoph, I didn't see you comment on that for some reason. I'll definitely hop on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've also not replied on that comment. I really do need to get my head down. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, which comment is that?
One of the many important ones you've shared. This one in particular is about the connecting the toolkit to the design guide.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can know that ahead of time. This is something that you might have just come up with a rough idea, and then once the research kit is a bit more final, then these pathways, these connections may just become more obvious. I don't know how much it makes sense to think about this right now.
I agree. I actually really agree with that. I think that we'll really notice the connections once the live site is there. Once it's, I'll refer to the Framer one for now, that we'll be able to really look for the connections then and really be able to look at each page holistically and think, oh, we can connect it to this one or we can connect it to that one. I feel also now, for me personally, seeing it in Notion, just the use and the feel of it in Notion, it doesn't feel as juicy, if that's the word I'm looking for. I want that nice, smooth user experience. I'm selling the idea of a good user experience, and I'm sending them to Notion. It's like, no, come on, So yeah,
So what I've done is I've just put it in the backlog. Then, yeah,
yeah, sounds good.
cool. Also, this is just like a difference in methodology, I think, or rather approach to building product, which is awesome because that means there's diversity. Like my bias would be juicy. My bias would be build the beta in Notion, right? And from there move to something like a framer. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah,
like build a live site.
yeah,
Like my mind works like I want the highest signal thing that we're trying to test, build that in the lowest fidelity possible, and then get feedback about the pretty. Do you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And literally, like we're going with this model, which is we're building a framework. But I just wanted to share that in terms of like how I think about things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Your thoughts,
cool.
Jakob?
And
You're remaining very quiet on this one.
he's philosophical today.
Me? No, I get this approach, and I mean, I don't know. I think both approaches are valid. I'm okay with Framer, using Framer now, because at least I trust Mo that it's easy, because I haven't tried it myself. But if it's really kind of low effort and we can just ship it quite quickly,
Yeah.
then I think there's no big costs in like moving straight to.
Yeah. I'm literally just gonna put my head in a cave and just turn off my Discord and I'm just going to just put my Bitcoin hoodie on and just build. And
So that brings us to a question about how are we determining the. I'm going to use stupid phrasing, but it's very research. It's very precise. How are we going to determine the extent to which what we've built is useful to people or not, right? And so that's the question of how are we researching this. So last time we talked about this like almost philosophical meandery approach of
yeah, we did.
just ask a bunch of questions and hope that people answer them. And that's cool. So practically what that means is, let's say at the footer or the bottom of every page, including the landing page, sometimes site, especially like self reference sites, like documentation sites will have like a thumbs up, thumbs down model, right? Um, we could do something similar where at the bottom it's like, we'd love your feedback. They click that and there's one question, right? Which is one of the 4 that we created last time. I'll show you. These here, how did you end up on the toolkit? How do you feel using the toolkit? What do you like about the toolkit? What do you wish were different about the toolkit, right?
Could we make it? I'm just wondering that this potentially could be like page specific. So on, I don't know, building in public page, or user experience mapping page could be at the bottom, like, have you used this, this this part of the toolkit, and like ask specific for specific feedback for each section potentially. So then, because someone might use only one page, right? And if you direct it more directed, have you tried user experience journey mapping thanks to UX Research Toolkit? Give us some feedback, something like that. And just a thought, random
I
thought.
love that. Yeah, I think you're totally right that it could be contextual questions, right, to the page that they're on or at.
It might be tricky to build, I suppose, although I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could make them do the work for us, which is, which site are you on, right? And they're like, I'm on the landing page, but that's a model. So why don't we write this down? So one is footer with generic questions, like these ones. And the reason that I want to have these conversations is, like, researchers in particular, I'm going to say something very controversial, and I could say this because I literally went to a world-renowned research conference for people like us a few months ago, and the topic and theme The subscript. Okay, let me zoom out. The world of research has been decimated with the economic downturn. So research has been absolutely trashed. Customer success has been trashed, but research in particular. And the way that the research community is responding is in one of two ways, right? I'm talking about like large orgs, whatever. One of two ways. One way is, well, C-suites and other functions and verticals simply just don't understand the value that we bring, right? They should understand us better. We are researchers. Here's the value we bring, blah, blah, blah. And then the other model is we should better understand the value that research brings to leadership, to product, to marketing, to whatever, so that what we're doing is better aligned with them. What is that thing that research brings? Well, it helps us build better products. In other words, if research doesn't allow us to do that, then research is useless. That's my argument. How does that relate to what we're talking about here? Well, if we're building a product as researchers and it's not a useful product, then that is the biggest irony in this whole world. There could not be anything more ironic, right? And so my argument is we need to do a bang-up job getting feedback from people to iterate quickly on the thing that we're building, which is why I'm like anal about, let's talk about the feedback that we're getting about the thing that we're building, and baking that into our strategy. Does that make sense? Like why I'm talking about this? I just went on the whole thing, I know.
Oh, totally.
Okay. Seth, how are you doing with the pure BS that I just shared? Does that make sense to you as someone that's like stepping into the community?
Yeah. It's still processing. It's a little early in the morning for me, although it's almost 11, so late bloomer. Yeah, I think that totally is a legit question, and yeah, I like it that sort of a level of question is being asked completely.
Okay.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And it's the same thing, that what comes to my mind is also with the guide. The guide has this very open ethos of people just being able to contribute and say, well, look at this definition. I think maybe we can rethink this definition. So they can go in, they can file an issue, they can open an issue, and they can make comments. And I want people to still, once the kit is V1 is wrapped up, I still want people to feel like there's that open door with, hey, the process for user journey mapping is like this. Well, actually, I think you can do it more differently. And then they comment, and then they give feedback, and eventually it would be amazing if the projects who actually use the user journey mapping or the jobs to be done, they share it with us, and then we can post links to the sprints that they've done and their actual results from doing that kind of stuff. So that would be really amazing to have these kinds of links at the bottom of each and every tool in the kit, showing an actual project that's actually used it. So that's going to be my next focus.
And I think like there's a dozen of projects in Bitcoin design and in my Vault fund, for example. So I think just we could try encourage those to try the toolkit and see, and somehow.
So hard to hear. Sorry, Jakob.
Sorry, I'm just far away from the mic. So there's a dozen of projects in Bitcoin design and Vault fund, right? So I think we could somehow try to encourage some of these projects to try to use the toolkit and just try to get feedback from them. I think these two communities are like perfect environment for getting feedback. Just need to think how to do it well and how not to force it on them or something.
Yeah, I think, but that's the thing with the using it as well, is I see people, we're visual creatures, so I see people being more wanting to use it when it's built on Framer, where it's the user experience is just a lot more smooth versus clicking around in Notion, which looks more like a Word document. It's usable, but it's not, I don't know. Yeah.
We're building a framework, you're safe, Mo, don't worry.
So yeah, it's gonna be a learning journey for me, but I'm gonna figure this one out. And I've already managed to build some bare bones, and yeah.
So is the current Bitcoin design guide built in Framer?
No, Christoph can comment on that one, but the design guide is not built in Framer.
Oh, sorry, Notion. I meant to say.
The UX research toolkit is currently built in Notion at the moment. And the goal would be to move it over to Framer just for that more smoother, more fluid user experience.
Yeah, for the design guide, it's built using Jekyll on GitHub. It runs on GitHub pages. Pedro, who was super active at the beginning, still hangs out a bit. He set that up. He's a wizard with this stuff. He did a really great job setting it up. So if you have someone like that around who can just whip these things out, then just go for whatever setup works. But I mean, otherwise, I agree with Art. Also, there's there's a point where what you need to do is research. There's a point where you need to do what is writing. There's a point where you just need to get things out in some quick and dirty shape and validate that it hits the sweet spot. Then there's a point where you need to make it super wide accessible and make it look good and do marketing there. And then there's a point where you need to work with projects. You just have these different phases to go through. And maybe the question here is, at which phase is this project at this moment? Does it make sense to kind of ignore the look and feel, the smoothness of the website, just stick a little bit longer with content? Or as Mo's already doing, kind of see how the interactive experience, how that can be pushed forward with the resources at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally makes sense. In terms of, I think that I heard the term marketing of the toolkit previously, and making it easily discoverable. Would it be cross-referenced as a link from the design guide?
Yeah, totally. It's like a sister project, just like we have the Bitcoin UI kit, which is kind of its own project, like a design system, but it's used for a ton of the screens in the design guide. And it's kind of just a community project, community resource. I think all these things, they're kind of standalone things, but they also really complement each other, just in very different ways.
Got it. Makes sense.
If zooming out from a product lens, I think we're in that transition phase from like an alpha to a beta, in which case, I'm gonna offer in some process reflection as well. There's a difference between being like a stickler for method versus doing what people's energies require. I feel like where we're at with this product is we want to just put something nice out there. That's what I'm feeling right now. So it doesn't even matter if it's a better idea to do something. What matters more is like what we want to see in this world. And what we want to see is something that's pretty, it's usable, we can put it in front of people, we can get honest feedback, right? Let's build the Framer site. Let's just do it, right?
I feel also in terms of the content, we have like 12 content items, which we've been pretty much iterating on for the last like 4 or 5 months. So I feel a little bit like it's like it should be, with all of the eyes that have been on the content now to date, I feel like it's in this shape and form where it's not content that's being created by one person and then they're just like, this is what we're going to run with. It's being created by more people. It's had more eyes, more feedback on it. So I feel like it's not in its final version, but it's fairly further along in terms of where it is. So that's why I'm a bit more like, I think it's good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we've seen this a whole bunch of times where, like I mentioned earlier, there are these phases, and at some point you feel like you don't know where it's going, and just people are just kind of giving feedback on random things and discussing, but it's really pretty much there. And then you're just like, okay, not gonna do research anymore. It is wrap up time. Let's wrap it up, put a little ribbon around it, and put it underneath the Christmas tree.
I'm
and then
feeling,
let the kids in.
yeah, I'm really feeling that wrap up one. And for me as well is why I also said the end of next week in terms of content is because, we're getting feedback on the content, but it's also, you have to also have a point where it's like, okay, the feedback for V1 in terms of content is no longer open because we're moving that now into something more live.
Yeah. And then you just make a list for V2. Right?
Yeah.
And there's like, here's your junk drawer for now.
There's going to be a junk drawer. There's going to be a junk drawer. Yeah, there's going to be a junk drawer. Yeah.
So we're coming close to time, folks. I want to give people at least 10 minutes. I know some of you have to hop onto a next call. In terms, let's just for a second think about what it might look like to get feedback about this next site. And I think there's two models. One is build something into the website where people could provide feedback. And the other is do something similar to what we did before, which is we share it to people that we trust and we just get them to provide feedback in like a survey or open-ended. And my argument is I think it's important to do both once we launch this beta product, right? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. In 2 or 3 weeks, we could align on that. But let's just keep that top of mind, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I agree
Mo,
with you, Art, on not setting up a next call until there's a whole bunch of content that's being wrapped up, a whole bunch of building that's gone on, because there's no real need for another call,
I
feel
think
like,
3 weeks from now, if we
yeah.
if we bookmark something 3 weeks from now, regardless, and just keep it if Jakob's available.
That's perfect because I need to like switch weeks, so 3 weeks would be perfect.
Okay, I think 3 weeks from now we'll have everything live. We'll have a beta. Then we can talk about like what's the minimum viable feedback we can get, and then you have all this backlog that then becomes your product you're building for beta.
Yeah. So we're looking at the 8th of June. Is that, yeah, that's that 3 weeks from now? Is that 4 weeks from
Yeah,
now?
that's
8th of
3.
June.
That's the conference day.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Prague.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm gonna be in Prague then. I mean,
Do it a week after.
I could do the call while I'm in Prague. Why not? Like, I'll be sitting at the booth, and if it's an hour call and there's Wi-Fi, like, why not? I mean, Jakob and we can just sit next to each other because I'll be has a booth too.
Either that, or we could do it maybe earlier this week if we manage to agree on the hour. If not, I don't know.
So, Prague is from the what is that? It's from the 7th to the 11th. So I'll still be in the Netherlands on the 5th and the 6th. So we could do like a 5th or a 6th, which is a Monday or a Tuesday.
Yeah, I could do either.
I'm going on 6th. I don't know yet how, so I don't want to plan anything on 6th. Probably by car. So on 6th I may not be available. So Monday works.
Should we do 5?
Monday the 5th?
Should we do 5? Monday the 5th?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Same time?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Monday 5th, same time. And then my goal is to have moved over a whole bunch of content into Framer. Good luck to me.
Well, I also really want to help you with all this stuff. Now that Accessibility Day is almost done, and a lot of Prague things are in better shape, then I hope I can also.
I really appreciate it, Christoph, because I have you built in Framer before?
No, not so much Framer, but just all the other stuff. Being prompt with reviews and feedback, and being a sounding board and all this stuff. But post Prague, things will really open up more.
Yeah.
But do my best. You're supporting me with all this other stuff going on too. So.
Prague's being so busy that I'm being. Sorry.
I can't just be greedy.
Prague and accessibility has been keeping my hands so full, and there's also this amazing card game that Christoph came up with. It was really hard not to get involved in that one.
Right?
Oh, how could you not get involved? That card game is going to be linked to in the UX Research Toolkit.
I'm so excited for that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Will it be printed in Prague?
Sorry?
Will it be printed in Prague?
We're going to have a few copies in Prague, so yeah. And maybe in the future there'll be an option to order your own copy, but
Send one to Calgary.
look at the enthusiasm. Told you so, Christoph.
Right. Friends, thank you so
Um,
much. Mo, for your motivation, Christoph, for your support. Oh, yeah, there it is.
He's
There it
going to
is.
do a quick share. Yeah, have a look.
There are various research things in there: user interviews, research repo, user journey, user
Jobs to be
flows,
done.
jobs to be done guy there with his milkshake, all kinds of stuff.
It's so cool.
I get the milkshake reference.
It's so cool.
It had to be the milkshake. There's nothing else that communicates jobs to be done.
It's so cool.
It's like if you know, you know, right?
Totally. By the way, your designers here. Who's this?
Steve Jobs.
No, the current one. What was this one?
It says good design here. That might be a clue. Okay, maybe too far-fetched. It's Dieter Rams. He wrote these 10 things, like good design is minimal, a good design is as simple, a good design is sustainable, a good design is all this stuff. And he's Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive and all those Apple people were inspired by him, some 1950s or so German designer. Yeah, there's some things in there that probably no one will catch, but at least I.
But I love the Easter eggs there. I love that.
Anyway, talking about Easter eggs, here are some Easter eggs in accessibility markup for Damus.
Oh, looking good, looking good.
There's a lot to do there. Almost every element.
Yikes.
I love the Sailor background on this.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah. So it's been a good call. I feel like I feel really good with kind of the direction we're going in and the discussion we had. I don't know how you guys feel. I feel like I have given myself some pretty tight deadlines to work with, but I like that. I like working with good timelines because then I'm putting my head down and just doing stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and make sure to, I mean, if you need to bug me with something because I'm not responding or so, just bug me harder, I guess. Bug me again until I do. If there's something that prevents you from getting stuff done.
Yeah.
And please, Mo, write the problems you have with Framer. So
Framer problems. I'll just post Framer problems in the research.
For me
Maybe the Framer team will end up jumping in and being like, "You're experiencing so many problems using our product. This is not good."
And then Mo, on my end, please lean into me to build the content. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. That's focus next week. Let's focus on wrapping up all those comments in those Figma documents, and then end of next week, close all the documents for comments. Just no more comments. Yeah. Cool, guys. We can, I don't know, we can wrap it up. What do you guys think?
Make sure you stop the recording.
Yeah, let me stop the recording.
So I have communicable information.